In discussing Marvel movies or comic book movies in general, the really good ones are always inevitably compared to Captain America the Winter Soldier. It's regarded as one of the best in superhero movie history. 9 other movies in the MCU have come out since this one, and yet there are still many who would argue that this is the best in the franchise. So naturally, I was looking forward to rewatching this movie, and I must say, it didn't let me down. Not like I expected it to though, but yeah. Captain America the Winter Soldier is directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, aka the Russo brothers. It stars Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Robert Redford, and Samuel L. Jackson. The story revolves around Steve Rogers, who is struggling to adjust to the modern world that he finds himself living in. He gets himself caught up in a conspiracy regarding S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra that shake up not only his beliefs, but the very world in which those beliefs are built on. Now, I remember going to watch this movie in 2014 not expecting anything from it at all except for a good time. I mean, let's be real, Thor the Dark World came before this, and the bar wasn't set too high. However, I came out of this movie a changed man, in more ways than one. Something about this movie took me by the shoulders and shook me to my core. The entire experience was a roller coaster of emotions, and it really took me by surprise. I mentioned how Captain America was never really my favorite character up until this point, so it really shocked me how much time I spent thinking about this movie after having seen it. I really couldn't fathom my emotions regarding the film. It was only after a few months of thinking about it that I realized that those feelings were of adoration and appreciation, along with a bit of awe sprinkled in there. It was just the concept of a Captain America movie being good that broke my brain. I mean, I'm kidding, but not really? I don't know. Eventually, I saw the light though. So let's get to talking about this movie. I'm just gonna get it out of the way. I would just like to say at this point that I'm about to heap a world of praise onto this movie because it absolutely deserves it. No question whatsoever. Anyone who makes the argument that this movie is the best in the MCU is absolutely justified. It does so many things well, the first of which I'm going to address is one of the reasons why this movie really blew my mind when I first saw it. It made Captain America a billion times more interesting, badass, and cool. Now, of course, a portion of this is down to the acting. Chris Evans has evidently embraced who Steve Rogers is at his core and embodies all of his best qualities in his performance throughout the film. He's a paragon of justice and he does a great job in acting as the man who doesn't waver in the face of uncertainty and opposition. The cast around him also do a part in making the character a lot more compelling. Scarlett Johansson's Natasha Romanoff is an excellent foil to Steve Rogers' one-track mind type character. She challenges him to step out of his comfort zone in more ways than one and forces him to evaluate the world around him a little differently. Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson is a welcome addition to the MCU as well, as his chemistry with Evans further adds a reason to care about the characters in the movie. Samuel L. Jackson turns in what I feel is his best performance as Nick Fury, while Robert Redford and Sebastian Stan serve as very interesting challenges that Rogers must face. However, it's not just the cast that makes the character great. A big chunk of what makes Cap work so well in this movie is down to the writing. I remember Joe Russo once mentioned that one of the reasons he wasn't a big fan of the Captain America character back in the day was because the character was just so square, and he mentioned trying to find a way to put a character like Captain America in a world where everything isn't so straightforward and things aren't so black and white. This really shows in the movie. The writing is wonderfully on point, and the way the story is woven forces the character to have to deal with things that challenge him. Apart from making the Captain America character work so well, this movie also tells an amazing story. The plot is written in such a way that it's paced wonderfully. The action beats and slower moments are balanced so well. I was riveted the entire way through. The movie just hit hard so many times consistently all throughout. It had a mystery that was handled very well. I mentioned everyone in the cast did a good job, so I was invested in the characters. Therefore, when they were thrust into perilous positions, I was on the edge of my seat. The plot also didn't feel so light, as other MCU movies do. This movie feels like it truly matters and has something to say. I can recognize that some movies in the MCU don't quite feel this way and are more lighthearted, though there isn't anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that when something like this comes along, it's truly special. The dialogue in the movie is also really good. It does a good job of grounding these superheroes and bringing about a human feel to each of them that allows for us as the audience to relate to them on a deeper level. It never felt like any words were wasted in this movie. Each piece of the conversation served to either further the plot or to deepen our understanding of the characters. It was great to see. And the action in the movie, oh my lord, the action in the movie was a sight to behold. The fight scenes had an extremely visceral and brutal feel to them. There were some really great moments, some moments where I couldn't hold back the odd, oh crap, because it had a ferocity that I wouldn't have expected from an MCU movie. This film has some of the best action set pieces in the MCU. It made clear what each character could do and how good they were, so when they went toe-to-toe with each other, it was hard to tell who was gonna come out on top, and the tension was placed on the highest percentage. Very quickly, I'll mention the music in the movie too. The Winter Soldier has this amazing theme that is used to perfection, though my favorite piece in the film has to be Taking a Stand by Henry Jackman. It's amazing to listen to. I would 100% recommend listening to it while in the gym because you're just gonna end up seeing yourself as Captain America, and I mean, who doesn't want to be Captain America, right? But yeah, in the context of the movie, it's a joy when this theme comes out, and I love it. I've also got to talk about the Winter Soldier in this movie. I won't give anything away for the sake of those who haven't seen the movie. Though if you haven't seen it, come on, this came out in 2014, what are you doing with your life? But yeah, I'll just say that this guy was great. From his first scene, they set him up amazingly. He is terrifying whenever he's on screen, and he really posed a great threat and challenge for the heroes in the movie. He is without a doubt one of the best villains in the MCU so far. Though, let's be real, he doesn't really have that much competition. But regardless, Captain America the Winter Soldier goes beyond the conventions of what a superhero movie is commonly seen as the best superhero movies usually do. This was actually one of the first signs of movies in the MCU having the capability of stepping outside their comfort zones and garnering huge amounts of success for doing so. The political thriller aspect of the film is wonderfully realized. It had twists and turns all throughout and got my blood rushing on more than one occasion. This movie also had some real heavy ramifications, not only for the characters there, but for the entire MCU as well. Many people say that this movie is one of the best, if not the best standalone film that Marvel Studios has produced. I'll be one of those people too. Captain America the Winter Soldier is one of the best, if not the best standalone film that Marvel Studios has produced. It's a sequel that blows everything established in the first movie right out of the water in all the best ways, and it takes Captain America to places that truly test who he is and what he stands for. The Russo brothers have created a masterpiece in this regard, with some of the best action on display, and with one of the best written stories in superhero movie history. And it's for that reason that I give it a 9 out of 10. So, yeah. It's movies like this that remind me of why I love the MCU. This was the movie that sold me on Captain America. Yeah, I like him now, and I've liked him ever since. Next week, we have one of the MCU's more out there projects.